Nothing like a good old-fashioned grudge match to start off the day here. Two teams, one old rivalry.
CLG versus TSM. It's the battle of the oldest rivalry
in basically League of Legends history.
They just have TSM's number.
God, I hate losing to CLG.
What makes them so easy for you guys?
They're just free SM, you know?
The left is naked. It's taking so much damage. The end goes in. He finds Wild Turtle. Wild Turtle goes down. Double kill. Triple kill for the end. Counter Logic Gaming in 60 minutes. The minions backdoor the base.
What brings out the rivalry is the people around it. Hotshot and Reginald, like they've been bashing heads since forever.
I made TSM as the sole purpose of beating CLG, and you know what? It worked. Keep it simple, keep it clean. Whenever we play them, it's free. Free LG.
When people say free LG, I don't give a shit. To go to bed tonight thinking I lost to TSM, I don't want that to happen.
Hotshot hasn't been sleeping for the last 3 years, so he's used to it.
It's time for CLG's golden age.
What would you say?
Welcome everyone to the North American LCS, coming to you live from our studios here in Los Angeles, California. Pumped up crowd today. We've got a sweet lineup of games coming your way, and of course we had a few cosplayers waiting looking to cheer on their favorite teams. And if you wondered what retired gamblers do on game day, well, just like they tailgate. Yeah, Crumb's there having a good time enjoying himself. And then of course we've got fans waiting into today's big rivalry match, showing their colors. It promises to be an exciting day. Hello, I'm James Dash Patterson, and to kick off our day, we've got Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kensler, and two very special guests, owners of Counter Logic Gaming, Hotshot GG, and Team Solo Mid, Reginald. Welcome to the desk, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, take a screenshot now because one of these guys is destined to have a new color of hair in the near future. I want to start off straight away with that anyone that's followed the NALCS knows about the storied rivalry of CLG and TSM. But I want to hear from you two, you know, the beginnings of it all and what it means to you. Hotshot, we'll start with you.
I mean, me and Reggie kind of had a rough start, I guess. We didn't really get along, and it kind of like, it influenced our teams. And like our teams started to have like these big clashes, and we've always been like head to head. So it's kind of carried on. Like even now, like WF doesn't really have a great relationship with anyone on TSM, but all the other teams he does. So, I mean, that's what it is.
Is that consistent with your story, Reginald?
It's pretty consistent, mainly because, you know, ever since the off season, or the very beginning since season 1, right, preseason, we are always really, really competitive. You know, since the time of the ladders, and so we're always battling for rank 1, and we'd always, you know, just talk crap about each other all the time. I mean, just purely for fun, but also, you know, there was like a huge rivalry at that time too. And I even played on CLG at one point, and then, you know, I quit CLG and made a team just to beat them. And so, I mean, a big part of TSM was about, you know, making a team to beat CLG. And so the rivalry is huge.
Now, there's been no shortage of hype around this match, clearly, going into today. But there was a tweet from WF that came out earlier, and it says, you know, I wish there was more pressure on today's game. Nobody's talking about it. Clearly sarcastic there, but as owners, how do you guys approach helping your teams cope with the amount of pressure and hype that goes into a regular season match like this?
I mean, for my perspective at least, I don't want to put any pressure, because we've only lost one game, and that's with a sub. So technically our roster hasn't even lost yet. So why would I change anything? Why would I influence them in any way? So I'm just like letting them.
Well, technically your roster
back.
has lost, or your team has lost.
Well, my team has lost, but not with our full roster. So
I like it. Reggie?
In terms of this match, it was a little different on mine. I'm like, guys, we better not lose this match. I do not want pink hair. And a big part of this, it wasn't because I wasn't confident to bet Hotshot at the very start, but I just absolutely didn't want to bet him because I didn't even want to have like a 1% chance of having pink hair. You know, so you know, having this bet he's huge, right? Because it's kind of embarrassing, to be quite honest. You know, walk around with pink hair. But, you know, I talked to my team last night. I'm like, hey, win or lose, it doesn't really matter. Just treat it as a normal match. My tone was a lot different a week ago, of course. So, you know, I think that we're going to come in strong. I think that sorry, George, but we're likely going to win, just like every other time. So
Don't be sorry about that.
I'm sorry because as much as like things are trying to be hyped up, like I think that we're going to win. So I think it's going to be a tough match overall, mainly because CLG is looking a lot stronger this season, of course. But we're looking sharp, and I think that with all the changes we made, I think that we're going to take the game pretty easily.
Yeah, that is something I want to touch on, though, actually, Hotshot, because CLG, pretty much every year, you've come in with a new roster and a lot of potential. Now, everyone's shouting golden age nowadays, but I want to ask you personally, because last year, after CLG failed to qualify for Worlds, you tweeted out this dramatic tweet. I knew all along what the problems were. I'm never going to let this happen again. Why is this year, after you carefully have crafted the team once again, why is this year the year for the golden age for CLG?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons behind it, but I think most of it comes from like the players in Skara. Skara has been like a huge factor of our success. Everybody on the team has like fallen to the very lows, so it makes them build characters so that they never go back there. You know, they know what it's like, and they've kind of built this toughness from it, and they know how to bounce back when you lose. And that's what makes a great team, is when you lose, how to come back. Because you can't always be at the top. You're not always going to be at the top. And like Reggie's going to find that out today.
Do you feel like you guys are still the underdogs after so many years of TSM winning North America?
Yeah, of course. Like we are the underdogs. I give Reggie props. You know, his team is good. His team is good, but we'll see today.
Well, both of your teams are competing at the highest level right now, tied for first place. So, Reginald, what do you feel is your team's greatest strength that has allowed them to rise to this level?
You know, I mean, we've had so many roster problems. Like, like you change rosters. We're always trying to fix things. We're always trying to make things better. And overall, at the end of the day, I think that we always persevere because of the dedication that we've instilled in our players. We're always telling them like our goal is to win Worlds, our goal is to be better, our goal is to push the NA scene forward, right? And so we're always looking forward. We're always trying to improve ourselves. Like with every single little mistake, we always pinpoint it. We always look at it. We always try to eliminate it. And we just don't stop at trying to be the best in NA. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we've been able to stay in the top 2 rankings for so long. It's mainly because we always try to constantly improve. And just like George is right. Like his team is a lot stronger this year, and a big reason is that they had really big lows last year. And you can see in their roster that they're playing a lot better. Link's playing a lot better, and they picked up Zion. He's a strong player too. Before, a big problem of why they'd lose is because people would center their comp. They would center way too much around doublelift, right? And he just couldn't carry the game. So obviously it's going to be the same today too, but it's going to be closer, of course.
Well,
I
do like the extra pressure that you guys put on the game with the bet as well, though. You didn't give very many details in the bet. So I went out and I did some legwork, and I found a couple of color swatches here. Have you actually decided what shade of pink that you would like to color Reggie's hair, Hotshot? You're going to go really, really dark here, or more of like a distinguished look?
Yeah, like an understated.
I think it has to be like a really girly pink.
Ooh.
Like this one's really
Cotton
nice.
candy.
Okay. And what about on your side, Reginald? Yeah, that looks good.
Reggie, you can pick as well.
I think I'm going for hot pink.
There it is.
Oh,
Look at his hair; it's beautiful. Hot pink.
It'll contrast nicely with his skin tone, I believe. Well, that's pretty great.
Yeah, I do have actually one more tip for you guys. This is pretty much unrelated, but as the owners of the 2 most fined teams in North America, it's Nick Allen's birthday today. So if you want to get in good with him, then.
Oh my God!
I love you, Nick.
There it is.
I love you, Nick.
I promise to be a good boy.
I'll buy you some extra hair dye.
Well, I'll extend my happy birthday wishes to Nick Allen as well. But thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Best of luck to both of your teams. I really am looking forward to this pretty stellar matchup that we'll see a bit later in the day. But for now, let's pull up the standings to see where all of the teams fall in. Behind our 2 leaders, we've got Cloud9 and Team Liquid in 3rd place. Then grouped up in 5th, it's Gravity, Team 8, Impulse, and Winterfox. And rounding out the standings are Team Dignitas in 9th and Coast in 10th place. Now looking at today's schedule, however, we've got 5 games lined up, starting with Winterfox versus Cloud9. Then Impulse will square off against Coast, and in our 3rd match, it's El Clasico with Counterlogic Gaming versus Team Solo Mid. After that, it's Gravity versus their former sister squad, Team Liquid, and we'll conclude the day with Dignitas versus Team 8. Now, before we get into today's action, we're going to take a quick look back at a relationship that's blossomed during last year's World Finals.
Imagine Dragons rocked the house at Sangam World Cup Stadium in Seoul and formed a bond with the League of Legends community built on gaming and performing.
We're running this all one more time, right? With all the players and everything? Okay, cool.
We are very pleased to be joined by Imagine Dragons. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I understand this is your first time here in Korea. How has Seoul been for you guys?
I love Korea. To come to a country for the first time, be playing with 120 local musicians in a stadium.
I didn't think you could get more crazy and epic.
I'm Sebastian, and I'm one of the composers at Riot Games. So the opening world ceremony, so it started with working with Imagine Dragons on the Warriors piece.
We met Christian, who is over the music and League of Legends.
We sent them stuff, they would send stuff back to us. We'd work like that. It's a really close relationship, really, really close.
It was a month of kind of starting to create a song. You know, you get the bare skeletons, and he said, well, let me pull it in with this huge, like, 100-piece orchestra I have. And it was a really fun process. We have been late on stage in front of, like, 20,000 plus people in an arena, literally just due to the fact that we're playing a League of Legends game.
So we're hanging out back here in Sangam Stadium. We've taken over a conference room and turned it into a PC bong. And we're back with Imagine Dragons. It's 1-1 so far, but somebody's gonna go home sad today.
Come on, you got it. We're good, we're good. We're good.
One of our music producers was like, hey, would you like to play a game with Imagine Dragons? And I'm like, would I like to play a game with Imagine Dragons? I got matched up with Dan or Platts in the bottom lane, and he plays a pretty good Caitlyn. We were pretty aggressive all game long. They was really cool. They're so normal gamer dudes who like to game just like us, so that was really fun.
Guys, there might be a dragon. I'm hearing they might be a dragon.
They had to start doing their vocal exercises during the game, which was really cool.
No.
These guys are literally getting as much time in on League before they have to go get themselves ready for the show tomorrow. It's going to be huge.
There's all these people that have to take the stage during like a 15-minute span. We have all the traditional drummers that are here, plus Imagine Dragons, plus players, plus a flag bearer for the players, plus the announcer guy from Korea, OGN.
Please welcome Imagine Dragons!
That was crazy. A lot of energy.
Games were really exciting. I mean, the first two went pretty quick. And then when Royal Club took game 3, that was huge, you know. The one that really hurt my soul the most was they had the kill, and then Janna shielded.
Kha'Zix, yeah.
It was the that one. That was brutal.
It's happened to all of us, right?
We've all been there. To play a show in a place you've never been, ever, and to get that kind of response, it's really hard to describe it, but it like almost feels like we don't deserve it. Who made this mistake that we're playing for this crowd? It's like, it's a really great feeling.
Earlier this week, Imagine Dragons stopped by Primetime League and will be bringing you a special performance of their new single, Shots, a little later in the show. But for now, we're going to send it over to the casters to get us into the action.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, everyone. I am Rivington Bisson III, and with me is Canada's first son, Joshua Jat Leesman.
Wow. First son of Canada.
We're teeing up our first match today, Winterfox versus Cloud9. And yesterday, they played a methodical game against Dignitas, giving up only 1 kill in their quick 26-minute victory.
Yeah, and that was actually their 3rd straight win. And because they won so fast, it looks like they're improving game over game. Yeah. I mean, one of the obvious highlights there was Meteos' performance on Nidalee. Now, while it does kind of seem like because Nidalee is so strong right now, anyone who plays Nidalee is going to find success, which is somewhat true. But Meteos in particular played a really clean game. The 1v1 he had on Cloud and Wind in Dignitas' jungle and the general jungle pressure and zone control that he had were a little bit higher level than the other Nidalees I've seen.
Definitely different from his, I played the worst professional game I just played a few weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Big turnaround.
And in the enemy jungle for this match is Helios, who turned in one of the best performances this year for himself. That helped his team secure a win over Team Impulse and move them into a tie for 5th place.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a pattern emerging for Winterfox, is they only seem to win when Pobelth is on an assassin and the rest of the team is on power picks that can follow up. I mean, they had Lysandra and Caston yesterday. I don't think they're going to get that type of comp again, but we'll have to see.
All right. Well, Lemon Nation took a note of Winterfox's success as well and says C9 won't let them run the table in Champ Select.
Well, I think yesterday they were given such a clean game by giving just these power picks in the current meta. I don't think the picks that they were given should be allowed to happen, and I don't think we're definitely not going to allow them to get these kind of power picks in our game versus them. So I think it should be a much better game.
Better for Cloud9.
I have trust,
if that goes
trust in the notebook, but we'll have to see, and we're about to find out. Let's check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it's going to be Winterfox. That's Avalon in the top lane, Helios in the jungle, Pobelter in mid, Alltech at AD carry, and Glebe at support.
It's going to be such a good day of League of Legends. On the red side, it is Cloud9. Balls in the top lane, Meteos in the jungle, High in mid lane, Sneaky on AD carry, and Lemon Nation, a little bit of Yawn in there on support.
Yep. So coming into this game, we've seen both, or we've talked that Pobelter needs to go hard, and we've seen High talk that he actually needs to play a little bit safer. So something to actually watch in this game is if he actually can stay safe from Pobelter if he gets an aggressive mid laner.
And that's one of the dangerous matchups here that Cloud9 has to watch out for, is whether or not Winterfox is going to send the house at mid lane just to try and A, get High behind, and B, get Pobelter ahead. If there was a matchup that would swing this game, it's absolutely the way High does against Pobelter.
Well, Kallista's already on the ban list along with Morgana, so we won't have any of those roam bindings coming in from either support. And Sneaky's Kallista has been quite strong. Actually, everybody's Kallista is quite strong.
Well, the Kallista is an interesting thing here because I generally see teams ban it or ban around the plan of picking it. Yesterday we saw a Ahri, Vi, and Lysandra ban just so Coast could pick it against CLG. And it had a relatively successful game, but here Winterfox, they need their bans for other stuff. So they're going to throw one ban at Kallista since they don't want to first pick it, since Cloud9 could then pick the counters against it, and then Nidalee is obviously for Meteos.
Well, the support's coming in for Cloud9 to be banned. So they're actually focusing some initiation here and pick potential, I should say, that Winterfox would be putting into their composition. Rumble gets taken out for balls in the top lane. A good ban to get a comfort pick out of there, as well as control for the mid game where Cloud9's been coming up big. And the final ban is Gnar for Avalon here.
Well,
Lysandra open.
This is interesting. Based on how we saw Winterfox win, it was with Lysandra and Cassidon. And Cloud9 saying that they're not going to give them those champions again, it means Cloud9 must pick Cassidon.
Yeah.
Which they do.
Okay. I was going to say, good point. They're giving away the high tier picks they said should not go away. So they rebuttal a bit. They keep it blue. Maokai and Cass getting locked in. We have seen a lot of Graves. Also have seen some Ezreals come around in double AD compositions that float around. So we'll have to see here what Winterfox decides to do. They're actually not told a whole lot with what they see here in Cloud9.
Yeah. The somewhat unconventional thing here, though, is Cloud9 did show both of their solo lanes.
Yeah.
Normally, if it was a teammate game, we'd wait for the last pick to pick a top laner. Or if it's any other team in the world, they'd wait for the last pick to be mid laner. The only exception to that is when it's an obvious feeling power pick, in which Cloud9 has done this. However, Winterfox can still pick Ahri in the mid lane for Pobelter, and I think that's what they're going to do with their last few picks. So whatever AD carry Sneaky has here, he needs to make sure he has a little bit of mobility so he can juke around potential Ahri charms coming in. It's reading a little bit into it, but I do feel like Ahri is the champion for Pobelter, and Cloud9 should operate under that assumption.
There's definitely a lot of focus on everything but the jungle so far, which is quite interesting since we've seen Jarvan and other junglers getting bans throughout. Obviously, Nidalee is there, who we've seen a little bit and in the mid lane, but it's going to be the Vi again for Meteos picked up, and Sneaky's actually going to go to Lucian. I think that'll be the second time we're seeing him come in here. We already saw Rek'Sai get picked up for Helios.
The Vi serves a couple purposes. I mean, that is what Helios had so much success on yesterday when they defeated Impulse. He was 8-4-17. Not to mention, that's where Meteos has found 3 victories so far this year just for himself.
You're right. There's the Ahri getting locked in, and we saw that giving a little bit of trouble in the Cassidon-Ahri matchup yesterday, going towards the Cassidon, getting pushed in.
So Winterfox has the composition that they are able to win with. They get power picks, Lysandra, Ahri. Normally you have to first pick an Ahri if you want it on your team, but because the Cassidon was up as well, they were kind of forced into that. So it's a heavy engaged team, which forces Cloud9 now to pick the Janet for disengage. But remember a game where a team picked really heavy engage against Cloud9. They lost it. It's when Gravity beat them because they could continually find the dives.
Yeah.
Champion select wise, if Cloud9 was saying they're going to deny Winterfox their stuff, they did not do that here. They would have needed to change their bans pretty heavily. The Gnar and the Morgana would have had to turn into probably a Lissandra ban or even a Kassadin ban, because picking the Kassadin for Cloud9 doesn't give them much, since they still gave up to really powerful solo laners that Winterfox may have picked regardless.
Yeah, they've kind of put themselves into a situation to build around that Kassadin and the picks they wanted just to take away. We even talked a little bit about Gnar not being such a high priority here, but people still putting the ban factor in it. And like you said, Cloud9 may have given up a lot more than they wanted to here in this picks and bans. We're about to get underway. Oh, what a handshake.
I mean,
0% awkward.
Fist bump handshake. It's one of those. Just
It's the ball and socket. There it is. Yeah. That's
ready
what you
for
gotta
some
get.
League of Legends
That's
today.
right. So coming in here, obviously, these guys better set the bar high because we're going to have some good league today, like you said. But right now, it is your chance to weigh in on the match. Vote for the team you think will be victorious with the hashtag WFX win or C9 win. We're about to get on the rift here. Week 4, Day 2, League of Legends action about to be pumped into your eyeballs. Let's get on to the rift.
Absolutely. I mean, some big winning streaks coming in here. Cloud9, 3 wins in a row after that atrocious 1-3 start.
Yeah.
We've even heard it from the teams that Cloud9 has been scrimming against a lot, TSM and CLG, that they're definitely looking at Cloud9 in that rear view mirror as far as being the top team in North America. But in order to get there, Cloud9 needs to take care of business against these teams. Winterfox coming in at 3-4.
And it's weird to kind of think of where their name is at right now. Everybody's like TSM, CLG, but you just remember Cloud9 is still there.
Yep.
They still have a lot of that power, and they're still one of the top tier teams. Still trying to prove that, though, with a shaky beginning. As they patch things up, the resolve supposed to be that High plays safer in mid. He said that. We'll see if that hurts him against Pobelter in this game. Meteos and Helios.
So it looks like Cloud9 is set up and hoping for the lane swap. It's something that Cloud9 is typically very, very good at, and Avalon has struggled pretty mightily in, seeing as he is quite new to pro play. It could also do well to shut down Avalon early on in Lissandra. If he can never get going, then they only really have to worry about that mid lane threat, not to mention in the lane swaps. Both teams are now more capable of heavily pressuring mid lane, since it's not just the jungler who can gank. The top laner can gank, the support can gank. It can be a big, giant party in mid lane.
We've seen that quite a bit at level 2 over the past few days. It's been a few matched up lanes, so we haven't seen that aggression to the mid. But here, we may be getting that as we see the top laners. Actually, all right, I'm going to match up. So Graves and Leona bot lane. Pobelter entering mid versus High, and we're going to have the lane swap to start this one off.
What? I'm a little confused here. So,
at least I think so.
Yeah.
Are they trying
Avalon
to go for
is,
a gank
Avalon
overall?
is in the lane swap lane, yet Altec and Glebe are taking jungle camps. Either Avalon is going to teleport up, or they're just going to decide to push that lane as quickly as possible. They might be trying for a cheese 3v2 kill right here, where he'd gank from the brush in an early level 2, but I mean, there's nobody here. I don't necessarily know what Avalon is expecting. Maybe he wants to jump on the Maokai here. There'd be no reason for him to be there, so it could actually work, but they're not even setting up for it right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long time until this 4-man dive works, but it should work. Balls is trapped here without teleport. He's actually dead unless Lemon gets there. Even then, he could be in trouble.
This is
Lemon's got to really
interesting.
hurry.
He does have Storm Shield on, so he only offers the shield, no crowd control. Balls is going to get hit up hard here. He should save his flash. This is going to be tough. He actually tries the flash. He's going to lose that. He'll have the teleport. Actually, that's already down still. They're going to micro the turret shots nicely on this. It took them a while. They do come up with first blood. Can they carry it?
Such a strange level 1 there by Winterfox, but it absolutely pays off with that first blood. Lemon Nation wasn't able to get down there fast enough, and because Balls teleported there, he could not teleport out once he realized he was done for. That's actually punishing Balls for his early level 2 that Maokai's love to do on the Wraith camp, knowing they have to bring the teleport. And all things considered, that's actually a really great play by Winterfox.
See how they work this out. Hopefully they can all get back to their sorted out lanes and continue to get the XP, because they're all sitting at level 2. It could be tough if Cloud9 finds them with level 3s.
With all that being said, there is a lot of counterplay opportunity by Cloud9.
Okay.
Winterfox is leaving pretty much every single one of their doors open by keeping 4 people on the map this long in the bottom lane, and they were unable to finish the turret. So in the meanwhile, Sneaky's been farming freely, High has not had to worry about gank pressure, and Meteos has been able to counter jungle Helios.
Yeah,
which
pretty hard.
With the first blood going to Altec, that is all well and good, but Cloud9 has responded in turn to even out the gold and still not lose their turret.
Well, we know Cloud9 is a team that knows how to adapt, and this is actually really great to see from Winterfox, that they're trying new things in the early game, as they are a team that needs to climb up in the standings. It's about holding that lead. And right now the kill did go over to Altec. It should be able to help, but the lanes are still swapped, and Sneaky was getting free farm this whole time all to himself.
I'm really interested to see what happens now, only because, you know, we see so many lane swaps, but we don't see lane swap starts quite like that, especially when they're able to net kills and still maybe not even be beneficial with how much Winterfox actually invested in that. You know, Avalon waiting in the brush for so long, the support and jungler taking all that time to go around, and then after the kill, sticking around longer. Yeah. I think may actually be the straw that broke the camel's back for Winterfox's 4-man dive play, since you can see now, what is Avalon actually going to do against a level 5 Sneaky as a level 3 Lysander, who just hit level 3 in that top lane?
Not too much. That's for sure.
Pretty much.
Winterfox maybe, you know, figuring the idea of when Cloud9 has lost in the past. You know, you remember times when Balls was on Rise and he just gets completely pushed out of lane and a team's able to take Cloud9. Maybe they were just going for that in the early game, shut down Balls, kind of get into the heads of C9. Hopefully it works. They put a lot of pressure on it. Right now, it's not working out for Avalon, that's for sure. This is what I was afraid of, is all that resource in one lane.
Yep.
You're just going to lose the other ones, like you said.
It's a 2 CS Lysander with a Doran's Ring.
2
and
CS.
Altec doesn't have a CS advantage here. Balls has 24. Like, the kill was good.
Yeah.
The sticking around was not good by Winterfox. So they outsmarted themselves there. They had the first gank that worked wonders and continued on a path that then turned out to be flawed.
We'll see if Avalon does get any help, or he's kind of just left to himself. We have Helios on the top side right now. Could be bad for Sneaky if he gets himself into a poor situation. Looking at that gold.
Oh, no.
Only 400.
Altec just wants to be S-Sword, man.
He's close. He wants to be F-Sword to get back with some potions as well. Looks like he's achieved it.
Yeah, the other thing that we're going to need to touch on here, because early game is actually coming out surprisingly in favor of Cloud9 after giving up first blood, mainly because Sneaky versus Avalon is such a lopsided matchup, and Balls has not been set back when all said is done by that gank, because he was able to CS after returning to his lane. But it's more about the way the team fights will play out, because now, if everything was in an even farm environment, the Avalon plus Pobelter could put probably enough pressure onto Sneaky to be able to kill him. But if Lysander cannot get to that point of farm, just the Ahri diving in there may not be enough, especially against a Maokai and a Vi, 2 people that can temporarily lock down the Ahri and stop her from dashing. Means Cloud9 will be able to peel away, assuming Avalon cannot farm.
They did leave that Ahri up. Seems like they had a reason for it, that they could lock it down. So not afraid to play against Pobelter's Ahri. But it is good for Winterfox that he is back on an Assassin. Saying previously, those Lulus and the likes are not giving Winterfox what they need out of the mid lane. 60-40 on the vote.
We touched on it in the pregame, but High is really holding on well against Ahri here. The lane is even. As the Kassadin versus Ahri matchup, it's supposed to be a somewhat even matchup. Kassadin is actually good against a lot of casters, but Ahri should probably win this one, and if not win, be able to shove Kassadin in and roam. But Pobelter has been able to do neither of those things. So therefore, I would consider this a win for Cloud9 actually in mid lane.
High is definitely playing stronger, and he's currently lowest at average CS at 10 of any of the mid laners. So going toe-to-toe here with Pole Belter just 2 minutes off, or a minute and a half, means he's definitely putting up a fight. Meteos gets the flash Q on. That's going to be the lockup as well. The Ignite is ticking. Will it burn? He cannot stop, drop, and roll, and that one goes over to high.
Huge gank right there by Cloud9.
Oh,
that's some more problems.
We said it was coming. It was just a matter of time for Sneaky in the top lane, too.
Unacceptable there for Winterfox to leave Avalon on an island up there, or even put him in that situation in the first place. Some nice plays there, and it continues. Cloud9 winning around the map.
Going a little too hard everywhere, and Cloud9 takes advantage of some small mistakes. Every lane gets a kill.
Yeah, and maybe more, because they know Altec is pretty low. Here comes high. No, too dangerous.
Exhaust on a little too early. Looks like...
Well, they burned both summoners from Altec, which I would say is worth it. Not really time to analyze those plays, though, because Winterfox striking back.
Sneaky getting close here. He knows he can fight this out. This is what I was talking about, as the top lane gank may not work out for them right away. They are actually forced to use a flash to get that one back in for Avalon.
Yeah, once Helios closed the distance, though, there's no escape for Sneaky. Right. He thought he'd be able to burst a kill down, but the flash prevailed for Avalon. Overall, though, trying to wrap our heads...
That just got explosive.
Yeah, exactly. Meteos getting the Warrior enchantment is big, because we saw glimpses of the lockdown and closing that Vi casting can have on the Ahri. Assuming Meteos can land that initial punch on Vi and then follow up with the Assault and Battery, Vault Breaker 2 Assault and Battery, it's enough damage that just high jumping on the back of it will be a kill.
That's going to hurt. Even with the Ignite down, Pole Belter still has to be afraid now. Cloud9 starting to take a nice, say, map lead. The gold lead's not really there for them, but they are feeling very sure about taking some of these engagements. Let's see if Sneaky goes anywhere else. He will now start to return to bottom lane after his foray, farming in the top by himself for quite some time. He'll have all this minion wave crashing into him, so he catches back up to Altec with that, and it's pretty much everybody waiting for the dragon here.
Really high value for Winterfox just now. They cleared 3 pink wards within a 15-second span. That's actually 300 gold worth of investment by Cloud9.
Yeah.
Cleared out just like that. Helios getting 2, and then Glebe on the roam. They are taking advantage there of the lane swap back that Cloud9 just did, which was a really good play there by Winterfox.
So how tight are things going to get for Winterfox if Avalon cannot get himself going? Pretty much fly in and get exploded.
Pretty tight, honestly. It's more about not so much Lysandra getting exploded because she can become untargetable. It's about people caring about her. If she jumps in and ults herself, but the ult does 15 damage and slows people, no one's going to care.
Yeah.
Needs to have legitimate kill threat when he goes in on Lysandra, and he's a long ways from that.
Well, there is a bit of focus to get Avalon still going. Some brotherly love here from Helios. Again to the top lane. I don't know if they're going to be able to have the damage for balls. Maybe now that Pole Belter is coming up. But a ward here already placed in is going to ping them out. Still could be dangerous. He makes the right choice.
Yeah. 2 turrets, though, are going to be going down for Winterfox, which is the long result of the early lane swap where they almost took the turret. Cloud9 needs to prioritize their lanes a little bit here, but they are choosing the dragon.
No.
Pushed off of it, yeah. Direct
Great
side
Void Rush.
The Void Rush was huge right there, but now they may be putting themselves in a compromising position. Let's see how this culling fares.
Oh, 80 carries sporting the same amount of damage, but that's a caster to an auto attack carry. Oh, this is going to be big. Helios takes the pop-up, and he can't get in for any more damage. The Monsoon begins to heal some more, and they get out pretty safe. Nobody dies on that one, so we could still have a pretty good fight coming on. Cloud9 is able to pick up the dragon overall throughout that entire back and forth. So it's like they'll take what they got and head out, actually.
I'm amazed that this turret's still at half health in mid lane. I was expecting far more mid lane pressure by Pole Belter, especially since that's the second time I've seen high roam down to the bottom lane.
Yeah, the first time he didn't get anything out of it and still had his lane.
Yeah. Yes, there was a gank down in their mid lane, but Pole Belter, you expect him to do better in this matchup.
Still have some time to go for Winterfox to get back on their feet in this one, as they're starting to lose a few turrets, but they also took a few here, so it's not looking too grim. Cloud9 could become very strong here as we get to the fight phase and their pick composition start to come out. Bottom turret goes down, And with Dragon being down, it pretty much gates everything to the next fight. We're just going to get camps farmed out.
And we have to watch the item power spikes here as well. Cloud9 has gone with the double Rod of Ages, which is expected on the Maokai and the Kassadin, but those will be charging up for the next 10 minutes. They both pretty much just completed them. Not to mention, if we're just thinking about item power spikes, Pobelter just finished his Abyssal Scepter, which is the item for this point in the game for him if he's going to try fighting the Kassadin and the Maokai. This is the moment, because of those item power spikes, that Winterfox needs to make a play. Or Cloud9 just wants to make it so Pobelter can't make a play. We'll see how this mid lane collapses on the game now with the outer turrets being downed.
Well, making plays and having ways to make them safe is what Winterfox is trying to do. Double Sight Stone, bringing that out quite early, especially onto the Rek'Sai. And actually, Avalon went for Lucidity Boots within his build here, so looks like he's trying to just do for himself. Glebe, however, goes in, thinking he can find some aggression, or rather get aggressed on as he finds a pink ward to head out.
Cloud9's pink wards are not lasting very long. They're having to invest a lot on it. That's the 4th pink ward kill we've seen on screen.
Good movement from Glebe.
Yeah.
He's been keeping himself mobile around the map. If he can't get the engage, then he's got to be doing other things, and he's definitely keeping stuff on the list to check off. Avalon now to farm more in this top lane. He is just about 50 CS down right now, so he's got some work to do. Balls all by himself, like we said, stacking those Roas. Elimination is just keeping high, safe in the mid lane. Cloud9 should be happy with the way this early game is going. They're actually able to repair a big folly there that Winterfox put onto Balls.
And now that Cloud9 has finished the turrets in the top and the bottom lane, they should be pushing mid to try and equalize this turret game and get some presence amongst Winterfox's jungle. One thing that is giving them a little bit of grief right now is the fact that Helios has a vast tunnel network within his own jungle, and it's making the ganks somewhat dangerous for Meteos since they can be counter-ganked by the Rek'Sai.
Always says.
I'm expecting a collapse on the mid lane and maybe a big mid lane fight.
Only if it's sure.
Yep.
But with a Rek'Sai ult, you're never sure. We even saw that at the last Dragon. A bit of pressure, actually, from Winterfox towards that Dragon area to make sure they still have vision. And it really is keeping Cloud9 from kind of huddling up here in the mid lane. They don't want to do anything that balls up at this point, it seems.
You can see Cloud9 now starting to get some jungle invading because of the mid lane presence they have. Maybe even the blue buff steal. They're hoping for a fight. They do have teleport onto the Maokai. And it's very important that Cleave's taken out that ward, actually, because that would have been the Maokai teleport spot if Winterfox had to initiate. Winterfox is making sure that anytime they move up, they can't be teleported in from behind.
Very nice to deny Pobelter the blue buff as well. If they can keep doing that, they're going to have a very hard time at continuously getting these wave cleared with the rest of the team, especially if Avalon's all by himself in the top lane farming. They have, however, get a good aggression back into the mid lane. Looks like Cloud9 just wanted the blue, small advantages at a time, not trying to take too much. 1:30 on to Dragon. Looks like we'll have summoners across the board for that fight, so that'll be a good one.
Yeah, it has been a while since we've seen that fight, but this game is mostly about control here. I mean, Cloud9's game yesterday when they looked so good against Dignitas was a very low kill score for a while, with Cloud9 growing their advantage ever slowly. But against Winterfox here, their advantage is not necessarily growing that fast, but it's still by a little bit. They're mainly going to posture around this next dragon and hope to have control there. They have to do it soon, though.
A lot of focus here by Avalon and Helios in the top lane. Obviously, Void rushes up, so he can make it back down to Dragon. That's a plus for him. Cloud9 is going to head out of the base. Ready and raring to go. Just a few stacks, trying to check out the Rod of Ages right now. It looks like they're almost halfway done. And Merc Treads really across the board for the tanks on this one. Balls and Meteos both focusing those to keep up in the fights.
Yeah, I think High needs to be going back to base, though. He's sitting on 1,500 gold, and we're 30 seconds from the Dragon, plus he's on completely the wrong side of the map. That's a huge amount of poke Sneaky could get on to Helios, though, almost forcing him to recall before Dragon.
Not mistakes you want to be making. Should be able to get a little bit of health off of his bar once he goes into Burrow. We have Avalon backing. He can teleport up to this Dragon, and you can see that's what Cloud9's eyes are on as they start to rotate towards the bottom of the map. A huge fight can still come from Winterfox here, and we've seen that's why Cloud9's playing pretty respective in their pushes, in their warding.
Yeah, this is potentially dangerous for Cloud9. They still want to take the fight because they have the positioning, but High is sitting on 1,800 gold. That negates the advantage that Cloud9 actually has in this game, the fact that he has all that unspent gold in his pocket. It's going to be a positional battle, though. Let's see if anyone can get him engaged.
They posture for mid and try to dictate the fight. Glebe onto Elimination, maybe trying to get the Monsoon out before the rest of the team gets there. They're onto Pobelter immediately, but Meteos is forced to get out of the fight. Helios and Glebe both go down as Winterfox has a little bit of trouble continuously heading into the fight. The Ignite does tick down onto Avalon, and Cloud9 assessed that one nicely.
If Cloud9 wins that fight, I'm hard-pressed to see them losing fights here.
Yeah.
They were sitting on so much gold from Kassadin. They were able to tick out Winterfox by the end of it. It wasn't even a... I'll have to watch it again to see how clean of an initiation it was by Winterfox, but the Rod of Ages were also not fully stacked up, so everything is pointing towards Cloud9 just getting stronger here. And they get the second dragon.
Second dragon, nice and easy after that fight. Kills actually going across the board as well, so everybody's getting a little bit, and Glebe goes right for Elimination to start.
Yeah, I think he was hoping to stop the Janna ultimate and burst him down, but they weren't able to combo enough CC, and he gets out a somewhat full heal. Really strange target prioritization by Winterfox there. They did Lysandra ult on the Janna, who'd already spent the ultimate as well. So maybe I misspoke a little bit by Winterfox could not win a team fight. They played that team fight really poorly.
Right.
Targets selection-wise. But it does kind of underscore the fact that Avalon is really far behind. He blows his ultimate on an underfarmed support and still isn't able to do much.
It's who he's doing the most damage to. No,
I wish that were true.
He's doing what he can.
Yeah, I wish that were true.
Right.
But it's actually the 80 carry he should be hitting with that. That's why you bring Lysandra.
Does actually have that null. It's a little bit of magic resistance. But I don't know if they can even get into these types of engagements. There's a twisted advance. Fence from Maelstrom on. They're actually going for Glebe, one of the tankier champions right now on Leona, and they're able to take him down to about 20% HP. Things aren't looking good, and Cloud9, it looks like they're now not afraid to put on a little more pressure as they enter into the side of Winterfox. 20 minutes in here, and Cloud9 starts to dictate a few. We saw that mid push to take the turret as well just after the dragon. So they're getting what they want here in the mid game.
Yeah, it has been actually a relatively well-played game by Cloud9. Despite being surprised early on.
They're actually able to keep their wards up now, too. That'll make things just a little bit easier. Alltech did pretty good versus Sneaky with the lane swaps going on. 192, 182. He's just a bit behind on what could be a Phantom Dancer or a Static Shiv. Probably a Phantom for him on Graves.
Alltech has been edging towards the Phantom Dancer since he typically wants to hyper-carry these games. Graves, though, sometimes goes for more caster-heavy builds. He's going Static Shiv again. A strange little item pattern we saw with Alltech. Start of the season, he was Avarice Blading really early and sitting on it. Yesterday, we actually saw him build 2 Brawler's Gloves instead of an Avarice Blade, just for more crit chance, and then he eventually built into a Static Shiv. Again, this game, we see him deprioritizing the gold generation of Avarice Blade with Zeal first.
Right.
Alltech's actually more about early game and immediate power, instead of trying to get that little bit of extra gold efficiency off Avarice Blade.
It's good. I don't think anybody's really ever questioned the Alltech play. He's always been a pretty solid AD carry.
Either side.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a wrong decision on whether you're doing an Avarice Blade first or a Zeal first. It's more of a preferential decision within the game, what you need at the time. And since Winterfox was playing from behind here, going for the Zeal first and hoping to win a team fight with that, little bit of extra attack speed and crit. Oh dear.
Oh dear indeed. It's going to be looking pretty tight on these ones. Meteos, where he was in the early part of the game after what we saw in the weird bot lane, he got a good jungle onto Helios, 12-10 right now. And that was actually, I wouldn't help the ultimate, obviously, for Helios, but C9 all hit level 11, level 2 ultimates before as well. So these fights are only getting harder for Winterfox.
He has home guard boots. He
They're
might
still
be trying to dash initiation here.
Oh, it was such a read, though. The team was already pushing them out. Avalon throws it. It's actually going to be the flash coming in, I believe, as well. That will be Avalon going down as the team cannot approach the fight as fast as he could. High will go down, however, but that's a lot of focus. in the back line was dealing some good damage. That was the assault and battery going in, but he gets taken down halfway through the ride. Glebe goes in with the stun. That's the kill from Pobelter. They turn this one around in the blink of an eye. Lemon Nation could get hit up with the Foxfire. He will not hit with the Orb of Deception, and Lemon Nation's forced to flash out. And what looked like a very telegraphed fight, Winterfox was actually able to pull off.
What not to do, over-aggression 101, displayed by both teams in that last fight. Like, the initiation with Home Guard boots was traveling way too far.
Right.
It was telegraphed, and we expected Cloud9 to turn around, which they did in a 2-for-1 fight, but then they overstayed again. I mean, watch this. Avalon, everybody knew what was happening here, and he burns his ultimate with no Zhonya's, so he's dead, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do there. And they're like, okay, great, we kill him, we can kill one other dude, time to back away. They trade 2-for-1 after this high kill. I feel like Meteos didn't realize how low he was. He's one hit from death. He's not able to lock down Pobelter, and then right here was a really nice outplay by Glebe, flashing the stun into a charm. That was the moment in the fight where Winterfox did outplay Cloud9, but 2 mistakes before that, 1 by each side.
Definitely seeing a lot of individual play in these team fights right now. Hopefully they can start to sew it together and really get the fights to go their way without losing the majority of their team on both sides at this point. 30 minutes, or rather 30 seconds on the Dragon, as we're at 25 minutes into the game, and it looks like Cloud9 has actually gotten themselves quite quick back to where they need to be. High was just kidding. Just kidding.
That fight result with Pobelter picking up the kills, as well as Altec, makes
Double
this game really interesting now. Winterfox, while they are still behind, could very well win this game. If Pobelter gets the right stuff off on Ari now, with his desk cap completed,
You
there's a
kind of
chance.
shovel dirt on everything you just did. Trying to shut down Pobelter, he just got all the kills he needs right back in the game. But now it's up to Winterfox to be able to carry that. The young team, if they can continue to go forth with this advantage. Just 1,000 gold down now, about 2,000 gold. They're able to pick up a little more if they can get to these next turrets, start denying more resources of Cloud9. But they're still afraid of the fight. They know that that fight happened because they were able to make a play. It's not going to happen just because they fight again.
Well, maybe it will.
The play. He tries to make it. Oh, they do it. Will they take down balls as well? They do know they need to make another play, and the play is made.
It's because they caught Lemon Nation. The thing that they didn't do in the mid-game team fight and looked so bad doing because they couldn't lock him down. This time they got the charm onto Lemon Nation and instantly blow him up. Plus they get the Dragon after this, which is not to be understated. The attack boost they get from that 26 minutes in is really, really valuable. Whoa,
a turnaround.
boy. Charm. I mean, Pobelter made a play. Avalon was there as the distraction. He's like the fullback running in first. Pobelter goes in, scores a touchdown, lands the charm on Lemon Nation.
Dang, that was good. I like it.
That's what happened in that fight.
It did. Avalon's just free to fly into these and go down now. Pobelter is able to make the plays. He's got his backpack open, and he's squeezing every one of his teammates in now. 8-8 on the scoreboard. And still the same gold lead throughout that one. Obviously, Dragon not giving you any gold, so you can see Winterfox is trying to climb back in through just soaking up the rest of the map. Good items. 304 for Altec. 253, and he actually went static Shiv instead of the Phantom Bits. Which fooled us. Got me this time.
That seal.
Bloodthirster is quite close to be finishing up for Sneaky, though, which would make these fights much harder unless he gets burst out like he did previously. But with Sneaky's positioning, I'm sure it will be a big boon for him once he gets that completed. Oh,
all right.
Okay.
Close one.
That was close.
Pobelter's got blue, though, which
This
is
is good.
important. Winterfox really wants Avalon to be able to finish Zhonya's because then he can actually be the distraction that Pobelter needs. I'm also not entirely sold on Lemon Nation's ability to peel on Janna here. Lissandra's untargetable half the time when she's in your team. You blow away Ari, and she comes right back because she gets 3 dashes. Well, yeah, it's Janna's the champion you need when you need disengage. It's not enough as the only disengage. Maokai can help a little bit.
Right.
But then if Cloud9 gets too concerned with peeling for Sneaky, they're not going to be able to do any damage on their own.
Yeah.
It harkens all the way back to the draft phase when they're actually giving Winterfox what they want. Winterfox needs to be able to have everyone piling in. We've seen some desynced games from Winterfox when Avalon goes in on Gnar and everyone's like, whoa, man, you're crazy. What are you doing? But here, Ari, no matter how far Avalon goes in,
right,
Ari and Leona can catch up. Everyone else can dash in with them.
As long as it's not home guard.
Yeah. Even then, they almost did it.
Yeah, even then they were really close, able to close that gap quite quick. Meteos using Raptor buff now. They're going to get cleared wards here. The buddy system for Cloud9, they don't want to get picked off in any of these fights. And we see the Winterfox is going to kind of dictate a little bit of pressure mid here. This is actually how they found their last fight, just kind of standing in mid. Quick teleport to the ward, which they've actually replaced the same one as well to continue vision if they are or are not in the mid lane.
I mean, Winterfox is ready to throw down. Cloud9 almost wants to beat them to the punch.
Balls goes in very hard. Actually down to about 10% HP. Nobody else has been able to do any damage. High was in Zanya's. He may go down as well. Avalon throws down the Frozen Tomb. He's going to be safe for now. Glebe gets onto Sneaky again. The Zenith plays, and Winterfox comes up huge with a 3 for 0.
Yeah, we saw it right there. Like, Cloud9 is not able to deal with the diving here from Winterfox. I mean, they blew up Pobelter and then just went straight for the 80 carries. Too much mobility, too much closing. It's what won them the game yesterday, and it's doing it again here against Cloud9.
Just completely turning on the switch here. They're thinking of Pobelter and Avalon to be it, and then Glebe's always coming in on another side.
I mean, Balls jumps into a heavily armored Leona. This is the same fight that Cloud9 won because Winterfox tried to hit their support. But Leona is a much harder thing to kill than a Janna. And did they even kill Glebe at this point? They can't even finish him off before the fight ends. Just an atrocious initiation by Cloud9, enabling Winterfox to focus on the targets that matter and win the fight.
What?
Banner command.
I mean, he's going for the build. You're still
it works when you have Baron buff.
Where we're at.
Not sold without it.
All right. Very interesting. Still wanted the build. They're kind of headstrong on what they want to do this game, and they're not going to turn away from it. So the banner command does still come out for Lemon as he was recipeing towards it throughout the game. Maybe Baron will be in the near future. At least a fight. It'll be for Winterfox, if anything. Zanya's is finished up onto Avalon now. He has the 2 ways of invincibility to be that distraction, and Pobelter is just huge now. The Void Staff finished on top of the Abyssal Scepter and the Rabadons.
Yeah, no Zanya's on Pobelter. And that could be critical in these upcoming fights because Cloud9 does have burst damage and CC. They need to use that on the targets that they're able to kill. So if they can get Pobelter, the high or Altec, neither of those guys have many defensive stats right now, and lock one of those 2 carries down, they have a chance in these team fights. But if they continue to get distracted by Avalon with Zanya's and Lysandra alting, or if they're jumping onto Glebe for whatever reason, they will lose this game. They've already lost a few fights because of it.
Man, these picks really coming back to bite Cloud9. In the bottom lane, Winterfox with the Baron buff continues to push on to now the first inhibitor turret, 31 minutes in. And it looks like they're going to have all the damage they need. Usually you'll see a team kind of want to rebuttal there, but Cloud9 knows they have to stay at bay.
Cloud9 has incredibly limited wave clear. They only have Sneaky, and he would basically have to burn his culling just to get that down. Cast and Maokai do not do well when behind.
Well, Winterfox just pretty much waltz in, serve Cloud9 some tea, and take the inhibitor, make their way out, and that was easy peasy. Bloodthirster is now finished onto Altec, actually, as they were going into that, so he can even stay longer for these fights to provide more damage. Everything really playing in favor of Winterfox now as we've gotten past the mid game. Some places, or a place we've seen them falter, but here make some big plays.
What is going on in the world of Cloud9? Every time we feel like they're going to bounce back to be a top team in North America, they make some mistakes in these games. And then Winterfox as well, you know, sometimes just roll a D20 and play amazingly. They seem like the most inconsistent team. They looked so bad against Team 8 last week, and then both their matches here against
they could go
Impulse
2-0 this
yesterday
week.
and Cloud9, when they have these team comps that can just dive straight in, it's something they do quite well.
Oh, there's the elixir onto Pobelter. He's feeling saucy, throws a little bit more damage on. More auto attack damage to turrets as well. That true hit. Feeling good, feeling like they have actually quite a bit of money. Actually, Pole Belter himself, 2,000 gold ahead of High just in the mid lane. So they're really pushing the advantage as well here. Now to the top lane, and they're just going ring around the rosy as they have Baron accordingly. Textbook turret takedowns. It's easy to say, right?
Absolutely.
This one's going to be hit up 33 minutes, and Winterfox again just safely walk out. Looks like the only test is going to come with the Nexus turrets at this point.
Perhaps. They did lose the Baron buff, so the ability to take this next turret's really difficult. If they dive, and then Cloud9 allows the turret to hit the diver and then focuses on the squishy targets, it's a fight they can win. Winterfox getting a lot of free hits on the turret, though. Good poke, though. That should potentially hold up Winterfox.
Really great. I love the Bloodthirster for that effect, is you can just get in there when it's charged, more shots on the turret, and it's really easy to take down. Saw Altec using that a little bit. He doesn't have any minions this time, though, so he's staying a little farther back. High trying to clear. This is where we see the wave clear. Not so fantastic for Cloud9, and the turret will consistently take shots. It's only a matter of time. Rinse and repeat here for Winterfox.
Yeah, I'm wondering how patient they're willing to be here.
Cloud9.
They are Winterfox, actually, because they are, without Baron, not able to get many hits in, but you can kind of see how hard it is for Cloud9 to actually clear the minions, whether they're going to just kind of stall this out for the next Baron, or if they just want to go really hard for dive as soon as they see an opportunity. I'm hedging towards the more passive style of play right here, because Baron is in 2 minutes, and they've shown how easy it is to push with Baron buff. I think Winterfox will wait this one out.
We've seen a lot of teams actually take their time once they get to the inhibitor turrets. Big lead or not, 10,000 gold, 7,000 gold. It slows down. They want to make sure they get this one right.
The way they're sticking around makes me think at any moment Winterfox wants to fight.
Oh, High puts himself in a sticky situation. He actually cues the minion on that, missing a bit of damage. Solar Flare locks down both balls in Meteos. High to the back line. Pole Belter now is actually very low. Does he decide to go in? But he retreats, still getting the kill onto High. That's a bit of burst damage they lose on the fight, and mobility that could really cause chaos. That's going to be 2 more down. Altec starts to pick up the kills, and the rest of Cloud9 is forced to turn away.
And there's an open inhibitor right now. That fight was initiated by Cloud9 because they thought they could lock down Pole Belter, but the lead was a little bit too big. Glebe used multiple active shields on Pole Belter to keep him alive, and because of the down inhibitor and 3 dead, this could be gained.
Meteos, he goes in with 1 Vault Breaker. It's only going to be for his life, though, valiantly trying to protect the Nexus turrets and his own Nexus, but it's not going to be enough. Winterfox come out huge with the early game scramble to take down balls and continue it on to take down Cloud9.
Man, look at that. They were down in this game as well. Winterfox coming back. They were 2-4 heading into this week. They win both games against pretty highly touted teams, Impulse and Cloud9. The inconsistency is real with this Winterfox team, but they were consistently diving the enemy this week and doing it well.
That early game, it's still kind of going back and forth in my head to what would have happened if they didn't kind of mess up, right? Would it have been a much closer game all the way through? They came back, which impresses me more than, the fact that early gank worked, is that they got through the troubles. Avalon didn't let himself get down and actually became a big factor once he got to his Zanyas. They kept their head in the game. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
That's what Lissandra needs to do. You need to get to your cooldown reduction and your Zanyas. You did it. You're Lissandra. But until that point, he's not super effective. Because, honestly, because of the mistakes of Cloud9, and it really felt like Cloud9 fell apart in that game after a few lost team fights. It ended up being a very quick win. There were multiple fights there. Winterfox was the team with the initiation mostly, but the last 2 fights that were big and deciding were Cloud9 deciding to go in. Meaning that Lemon Nation's Janna pretty much useless in that case. They were never actually able to finish the target that they dove in on, which, to Winterfox's credit, they were able to capitalize on those fights. It was definitely not a top team in North America performance there from Cloud9 by any stretch of the imagination.
We heard Lemonation say in the beginning those picks won't happen again. Lissandra and Ari in the solo lanes. That makes things tough, and that's those picks.
I will argue that Lissandra Ari is better than Lissandra Kassadin as far as power picks go.
The safety,
not happy with that Cloud9 draft, but more so the way they ended up playing the game because they had an edge. I mean, when you were running a double Rod of Aegis team with Maokai and Kassadin, and you win a fight when your rods are not stacked, then it continues, and they just picked bad fights or over-aggressed. It's not like the composition lost in the game. They were absolutely in position to win. Cloud9 had a very capable team composition. It's just the way they played.
The first few things they did were almost uncontested, right? The Dragon kind of got hit, but Cloud9 grabbed it, ran away, and then Winterfox just sat in mid. The Telegraph Teleport somehow won that fight, right? What was the call in that fight that made them go back in, and then deja vu maybe 5 minutes later, the same fight happens in a 3-for-0? Like, to find that fight in mid lane both times, Cloud9 was like scratching to get back in.
Yeah, I mean, heat of the moment, it happens to the best of us. You're on a jungler and you're like, all right, let's go. Oh, wait, I have 0 health. And I decided to go die. But the team was following. I mean, that is one of the strengths of Cloud9 is they typically follow the calls that are made.
That's true.
But if they're going in on the wrong targets or if they're too low health, it can lead to some disaster.
That's right. All right, right now we're going to send it down to Zyrene to hear from Winterfox's mid laner on their 2-0 week.
All right, thank you, Riv. I am Riffside right now with the victorious Pobelter from Winterfox. Now, Pobelter, last time we interviewed you, you said this was a summer split team. Is this team actually growing faster than you had anticipated?
Yeah, I mean, to be entirely honest, I didn't really expect to win today, but I don't know. Everyone just played really well, it seems. The early game was a bit rough. I died to a gank. Avalon died, but surprisingly, we won through teamwork instead of just like individual plays. So it was really unexpected, actually.
And this is you guys' first 2-0 weekend. What are you going to do now to keep improving and to keep on that path towards getting better?
I think we're just going to be doing the same thing we've been doing because it seems to be working pretty well so far. So, we'll just keep scrimming. We have leisure time, so we play when we need to play, but we also work hard when we need to.
It seems pretty relaxed there. So what is it exactly that you guys have been doing? If you're just going to keep doing that, is it just scrimming? Is there something special you guys do?
I wouldn't say there's anything out of the order or the ordinary. Actually, we took some days off this week off of scrimming because morale was like really low last weekend after we lost a teammate. So I think that actually helped a ton, We ended up performing better this week than last week with less practice.
Nice. Sometimes you need that leisure time to just clear your head and just recenter, right? So we have a matchup coming up, the marquee matchup, CLG versus TSM. In the mid lane, Link versus Bjergsen. Who do you give the matchup to in that mid lane, and why?
Link's been on a really hot streak lately, for sure, but I think Bjergsen still has the edge.
Why has Bjergsen got that little edge?
I don't know if it's something I can really explain, like he does this thing specifically better. It's just like playing against both of them, playing against Bjergsen feels more challenging.
Yeah, it's those...
Which isn't to like take any credit away from Link because he's doing really well lately. It's just my opinion.
They're both doing really damn well right now. So thank you very much, Pobelter, for your time. We're going to throw it over to Dash at the analyst desk with the guys to break down that game.
Thank you, Zyrene. A win there for Winterfox, bringing them to 4-4, tying up with Cloud9 actually now at 4-4. And I want to immediately touch on this level 1, this kind of confusing, very interesting level 1 that Winterfox pulled out here in this game.
Well, first of all, I'm glad to finally see some variance in these level 1s, especially from the teams that are not at the top of the ladder, because this is the point in the game where you have the least information available. You're only working with these 60-second trinket wards, so there are so many options for you, and really it just depends on how risk-loving or risk-averse a team is. There are so many different things that you can go for. This is one of them, and it's actually a fairly old strategy, right? Just go with the 4-man very quick dive, but I'm happy to see Winterfox actually going for that.
I am too, and it's always just been a point of, will teams prepare their level 1s? We've seen teams will do the same level 1 multiple times, and a team will sort of counterpick it. They'll hide in a random brush you have no purpose being in because they expect the same jungle invade game after game after game. We've seen it a couple times this season. There are a couple in LCK. C9 themselves did a heavily researched one in Game 1 against Samsung Blue at the World Championship and won the game because of that. They got 2 kills and snowballed the game. I do want to keep, as you're saying, see these teams research level 1s and predict their opponent's pattern.
Well, that begs the question then, are these level 1s gimmicks? Are they a one-time thing? Is this something now that every team checks for? They go in the bot lane, they check that bush and say, okay, we're not going to get dove?
Again, it's the preparation that goes into it. All you can get is a better percentage of having success, and it just depends on your preparation, right? Maokai, 80% of the time, he starts at Wraith Camp. We have not seen anybody send multiple people to try and kill a Maokai while he's doing a Wraith Camp or a Scion or something like that.
Yeah.
This one was good, and I like how they denied their enemies as much information as possible. They only showed the AD carry in the bottom lane. So Cloud9, like I said, they're working with the least information at this point in the game, and everybody pops out. There's not much that Balls could do. Maybe he could have saved his flash till turret aggro was on him, but I like the play from Winterfox. Just turned out they handled the aftermath of it very poorly. Cloud9 once again showing their veteran status and getting a giant experience lead, which really punished Avalon.
Yeah, basically these guys stuck around in the lane, right? Top laner gets to go do whatever he wants for a long time, and pretty bad misplays there. So, okay, level 1 ended up being a bit of a wash here. We'll move on to the rest of the game, though. What I thought was really interesting was, so Cloud9, I think they picked in a good composition. The problem to me is they sort of played it wrong as you go farther into the mid game. The big reasons are basically threefold. So number one, they aimed an engage support ban at Glebe. They got rid of Annie, but they gave him Leona, which is going to fulfill the same purpose with one exception in that Janna is actually good against Leona because you can stuff the Zenith Blade in. It's a good laning matchup. And so they're kind of preparing themselves for this matchup, but they don't play that out. They're not actually disengaging team fights, really, as Cloud9. The way their comp plays out, you've got a caster who can split push, and they know he's going to match into an Ahri, and that's going to be a 1v1 you can win. In fact, the laning phase went fine, and then later on in the game, Cass is going to do great things. But Cena never played to this advantage. They never played to the disengaged support. They never played to the split push and Kassadin. They just grouped up and team fought and engaged as Janna. The power of Janna is picking your engages. You don't pick 5v5 against a 5v5 team, though.
Well, I mean, that's a very good point. We do have a replay, though, of a team fight that very early on went in the favor of Cloud9. So we're going to pull that up on your screen. We're 18 minutes or so into the game. Kobe, I want you to just kind of walk us through this one real quick.
So, sadly enough, actually, this replay is a pretty good example of, how many mistakes were made in team fights this game by actually both teams. This time around, it is Winterfox making the majority of the mistakes, so they come out on the losing end. Just keep track of all the ultimates, all the R buttons here from Winterfox. Graves, actually, everybody's going to dodge his ultimate from Altec here as high flashes. Oh, I guess Balls take the brunt of it.
Yeah.
But then again, Avalon, as they mentioned, he used his ultimate on Lemonation, and those are two fairly big ones from Winterfox. Just the last tick of the Ignite pulling that one off there didn't really matter that high, had so much gold in his inventory or whatever, if you don't hit your abilities.
Right.
So, sorry, what that points to, right, is the fact that we all kind of said, oh, this is Cloud9's game, right? Like, you win a game, you win a team fight that early with, these ramping champs like Kassadin and Maokai. If Cloud9 plays the way that they normally do, they're going to take this game. Now, to return to your point, Freak, we watch that not happen for some reason, which is that they are playing out the matchup incorrectly against a team fighting team.
The reason is they cleaned up their team fight, right? It gives Cloud9 false confidence if they are like, oh, they used their Lissandra ultimate on our support and they missed a large portion of their damage.
They showed up late.
Yeah.
So yeah, then Cloud9 gets aggressive. They say, oh, okay, I guess we're winning 5v5s then. It's easier to just team fight than to split push and risk getting caught out by Lissandra engages. So, okay, take the easier way out. Well, it turns out that's actually a lower percentage play because those consistent team fights are actually routinely losing engagements.
Right, so we have another replay, which is showing the opposite here. We're going to go about 29 minutes into the game, 3-0 for Winterfox. They get the Baron off of this as well. And at this point, this is team fight 2-3, where it's like, Cloud9, what are you doing? Why are you taking these team fights one after the other?
Yeah, the game's fairly close. There's a couple of mechanical misplays that aren't too big, but it's the pure fact that you're choosing to fight a 5v5 against a team with a lot of AoE lockdown. Janna's not great at the actual engaged 5v5. She's good at, again, picking her fights. So roll the clip out. Ball's going to go in and Glebe. They think they're winning this fight, but the problem is all of Winterfox are actually here. So it's a bunch of wasted damage to the support. Ball's actually, despite also being a tank, gets bursted out because there's more damage on that lineup, and it's just, at this point, cleanup. Lemon kind of, this is a half disengage, right? Barely does anything as a Janna, whereas Glebe, tanked 400 damage and, stunned 3 people. Like, wow, what a better team fighting support. Everyone's surprised.
Glebe was such a hero this game because we don't actually have that clip, but the one where they turn around, he flashes for the stun,
the flash
completely changes the entire game. So Glebe definitely deserves his long-time, support position right here while they have Imagine over in Korea. But I also want to point out in that replay, Hai this Kassadin that got ahead really early, wasn't really punished in lane phase and had a lot of money as we keep on going over. He got off almost nothing in that team fight, jumping right into the solar flare, then having to Zhonya's immediately, and it didn't really affect much.
And that's just the unfortunate thing here is when you have a champion composition like this, with a Kassadin, with a Janna, you are picking your fights. Like, these aren't big team fighting threats, but they're guys that are going to pick someone off immediately, and that just never got to happen for Cloud9.
A bit messy of a game, at least to begin with, but then Winterfox pulling it together, playing out their composition correctly, and getting their win. Now, we've got more NALCS action coming your way. Up next, it's Team Impulse versus Coast, so don't go anywhere.
We're teeing up our first match today. Winterfox versus Cloud9. Meteos gets the flash Q on. That's going to be the lockup as well. The ignite is ticking. Will it burn?
Maybe it will.
The play. He tries to make it. Oh, they do it. Will they take down balls as well?
Lucian! Kassadin! Lucian, keep going. Nice!
Solar Flare locks down both balls, and Meteos high to the back line. Pobelter now is actually very low. Does he decide to go in? But he retreats, still getting the kill onto high. Winterfox come out huge and take down Cloud9.